What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Supper Suite at TIFF 2022. I have the team behind Carmen with us right now. Huge congratulations. Like, this is quite the feat for you, but our first feature. This is so incredibly ambitious. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
So before we even kick off our conversation here, I have to ask you to do this. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to ask you to do this in interviews, but can you give us a brief description of what your film is about?
Well, it's first of all, it's really a story, like not unlike my ballets. It's a story that is told through movement and music, and it's the story of an immigrant, Carmen, who flees the border, crosses the border after the murder of her mother, and during the border crossing, she meets a border patrol who's really there against his will almost that night, who has been on a couple of tours to Afghanistan, and sort of everything goes wrong that night. They end up having to flee together towards Los Angeles.
Paul is so good in this too. I just have to say that because he's not here right now. But again, a mighty ambitious first feature for you here. What would you say is the key to, I guess, convincing the necessary parties who grant green lights, and maybe even yourself, that you were ready to direct a feature like this?
Wow. Well, it's a lot of work and a lot of luck. I had been shooting dance films for little short films for a long time. This had been maturing in my head for some time as well, and I don't know, I think it's how you explain the vision, and I found a producer who believed in the idea and gave me the freedom to do it, Dimitri Rassam, and I was very, very fortunate. Yeah, I mean, it's madness, making a film is you sort of come together. So it's like building a company from scratch with people you've never met, and so it's an insane enterprise. And especially this one, we were supposed to shoot in Mexico and in LA, and we ended up in Australia, and so it was quite a journey, but we got there.
Were all those moves pandemic related?
Well, the last one was.
Okay.
Yes, last one was to Australia. Yeah.
Okay. Well, where you landed is perfect. This thing looks absolutely beautiful. I still can't get over what you've accomplished here. Speaking of which, what was it about Ben during your first meeting that made you say, even though he's never directed a feature before, I feel like I'm in good hands when this role is going to be putting a lot on my shoulders?
Well, actually, our first meeting was super interesting. I already knew of Benjamin's work. I knew he had choreographed Black Swan, and I had Googled him, and I knew his talent as a choreographer. And when I met him, we were sitting at a picnic table outside of LADP, and he we just talked about the script. He had sent me the script with like some of the music and like pictures and like inspiration, like a very complete package. And I was like, this is incredible. I would be so lucky to be able to be a part of this. And so we met, and we chatted about the script, and I told him all the problems that I had with the script, and I was like, he hates me. I was like, there's no way that I'm getting this, because this was in 2018, right?
Yeah,
2018.
at least, yeah.
I had done nothing except a season of Vida. So I was like, I'm no one. Literally, I'm no one. I just got to LA, and I just came and I told him like all the issues that I have as a Mexican, a story about a Mexican immigrant. It like is important that we do it right. So I told him all my thoughts, and then he's so serious. He's French, so he was like so serious. I was like, he hates me. There's no way I'm getting this. I left. I called my team. I was like, he hates me. There's no way. And then they called me. They were like, he wants to see you dance. I was like, well, that's gonna be a whole other thing because I'm not a dancer. But he knows his intuition with like people's bodies. He knows how to make everyone look good. And so that was the beginning of the journey in 2018.
Yeah, and it was very common of you. It's true. You came to the meeting and you were sort of like, well, this is no good, but I'm interested.
I was more interested in the idea of the movie, felt incredible. I was like, the script needs work.
But if I was like, yeah, she's the character, it was right. So.
I have so many follow-up questions to what you just explained. First, can you give us a specific example of something you saw in the script and, made you think, like, we can evolve this and make it stronger?
I mean, honestly, the script in 2018 is a completely different movie than the one that we made.
Yeah, it's hard to know which one you read, actually.
The script that I read, so this is a reimagining of the opera of Carmen. Really, the thing that's left of like Carmen is the character, because like nothing else is related anymore. To me, in my brain, this is like an origin story of sorts. It's like you get to meet the character and like kind of see how she becomes the Carmen that everyone knows in my brain. The script that I read was more like the opera. It had like the two men fighting for her. Like it was more like that.
It was still very, it was still closer to the opera.
It was a lot. It was very into the drug cartels. Like it had a lot more presence of like a guy in the drug cartel that wanted to be with her. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to continue to paint Mexico in that light. So
yeah, we got rid of the stereotypes and the cliches and ended up in a much more pure place, which was more personal for all of us, you know, in the story we told.
I can't picture the movie any other way now. It's blowing my mind to hear you describe where you originally started with this. Let's see if I can remember more of my follow-up questions. So you had just mentioned this first came up before In the Heights, before Scream. What is the key for you to staying committed to a project like this for that long? Because I imagine a lot of things changed as, like, you know, your star soared through those really great films.
So many things changed. And the one constant was that I knew that I needed to be a part of this movie. I knew, like, there was, you know, you just get this gut feeling. I knew that whatever Benjamin was going to do was going to be something incredible and magical, just because I had seen him work. I had already started working with him in dance, and I was like, I just can't let this go. And, you know, there were a lot of ups and downs. Like the movie kind of like died many times and then it came back. Like, you know, it was a long journey to get it made. But I just knew that it was going to be special. And it was. Every day on set in Sydney and in Broken Hill, it felt like we were making art, you know, and you don't feel that a lot of times in movies. And it was just the way that Ben runs the set, like the energy. There would always be music playing. He always had a playlist. He would yell cut and then like the music would come on. He would like, we were like doing that dance in the desert and like there's like footprints on the sand. So we had to like clean them after every take. And like Ben would grab a broom and like dance and like clean the desert. Like it was just like fun, and it felt, everyone involved, like the entire crew was so into it and like wanting to like help tell this story. And it felt, I'm usually attracted to like unique things, you know, like I want to do things that are different and that are like pushing the envelope and like breaking out of the mold. And that's what Benjamin wanted to do with this. Like because he's a choreographer, I think he has such a unique way of seeing things. And it was incredible, and I knew it, and I just couldn't let it go. I'm glad that he didn't let me go, because like it could have, you know, he could have been like, I found another Carmen, and I'm glad that he didn't.
I had to convince. Once I'd be like, no, you gotta stay. This is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So Melissa had just said this kind of, you know, started and stopped and started and stopped. What wound up being the key to, I guess, getting the official green light and feeling like we're actually gonna really make this movie now?
Well, really bringing Paul on board, Paul Mescal, and the timing of it. And, you know, we were going to Australia. Actually, my wife was shooting Thor in Australia and starting to look at the landscapes. I had done all the scouting in Mexico, spent quite a bit of time there. So I was really informed with sort of visually what I wanted to do. And I started to realize that the movie, you know, especially because of the dreamlike quality, we could achieve it in Australia. And from that moment on, you know, the movie happened. We went there and we were in pre-production. I couldn't believe it at the time, really, to be honest. When
we had to do really the 14-day quarantine in Australia, all of us.
Yeah.
The mandatory, like, military takes you to the hotel, locks you in a room, doesn't give you a key. That quarantine, we all did that.
It's important, well worth it.
Yeah.
So
with a treadmill. You did it with a
treadmill. I did have a treadmill.
With a treadmill.
Thank God.
Okay.
Yes.
It's important if you're in lockdown mode. So you're experimenting quite a bit here with movement, music, and dance. Is there anything you wanted to do in that respect that made you think, like, this is so incredibly ambitious that I don't know if it's going to work, but we have to at least try it?
You know, just to talk about that, for me, it was just the natural thing to do. The movie is exactly what I wanted to do. The luck that I have is that people allowed me to make a film that had that kind of freedom, I think, in expression, how the story is expressed, how, you know. And, Yeah, no, it was. I think it's really it's my film. It looks like my film, and it doesn't. I don't think that it's ambitious. I think it's exactly what it's supposed to be. You know.
I love the different perspectives. It's like business as usual. And I'm like, how did you do all that movie magic? Was there any particular scene in the movie that made both of you go like, that right there, that's going to be the most challenging scene to shoot? And then in the end, is that actually the most challenging scene? Or did something wind up catching you by surprise during
I mean,
production?
there were many challenging scenes to shoot because I mean, the dances alone were all one sequence shot, no cuts. Camera was choreographed around Melissa, and we shot them as I mean, yeah, they were, and we had rain, and we had some issues. There were a lot of difficult, but everything worked out.
Yeah, everything
Yeah,
worked out in the
yeah,
end. And there were a lot of long takes,
yeah.
a lot of long, like, no cutting, clear out the whole crew, hide, because it's like the camera and the actors 360. And there was a beautiful, like, freedom. We had a lot of, like, Ben gave us a lot of freedom to improvise. And so a lot of, like, the things were just things that we were feeling in the moment that would kind of come up. And like, I remember the Matilda scene that we shot.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a magical moment.
Yeah.
That was Rossi's first scene on set, and it's 7 minutes, and it's not as you two are incredible, and so was the Steadicam operator, because frankly, I actually didn't block. I blocked the beginning of the scene, and then I said, and I actually didn't tell any of you I wasn't gonna call cut.
Yeah.
And it just went on, and it was just magic, and that's the scene that ended up in the film.
Yeah.
The
It was
first take.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was we were in the club, and everyone kind of went behind the scenes. There was no one in the club. The club was empty. It was Rossi and me and our camera operator, our Steadicam operator, who was incredible. Like, he learned to dance, basically. You taught him how to, like, dance with the camera. And I remember, like, we shot this scene, and then it was in Spanish, mind you, okay? Ben doesn't speak Spanish. So he trusted us a lot with, like, the Spanish of it all. We do the scene in Spanish. He yells cut finally. Everyone comes out, and, like, so many people are crying. And it was incredible, because I was like, how are you all crying if you don't even speak Spanish? Like, none of you speak Spanish. And everyone just kind of, like, got it. And that was a very magical moment on set.
No, it truly was, and I think for me it was always important to create. I think coming from the theater, always important to create an atmosphere that I could really see on the set, that looked like my film, that created a kind of ambiance that I was looking for, and I think that in that setting, particularly, I think it was very helpful. I mean, it really felt like you were there.
Yeah, totally.
With Rossi.
Then he did this other thing. So I'm dancing by myself. Carmen is, like, kind of comes into the club, and she's dancing by herself, and then Matilda starts clapping, and she looks over and she's like, oh my God, I didn't see you. Well, Ben called in Marina, who plays my mom, who's dead, and calls her in and sits her beside Rossi. So when I'm dancing and I turn around, I see both of them. And I literally, like, I get goosebumps just thinking about that moment again, because that's the kind of thing that he did as a director. He liked to, like, surprise us. And that just, like, helped me a lot in that scene, because it was such a long scene that we did over and over again, that it just, like, kind of refueled me. Just seeing her beside, like, I'm dancing for my mom, and then all of a sudden, like, I turn around and she's there, like an apparition. It was, like, such an incredible moment.
Yeah, Marina was always call an hour before. I have this idea. Can you come? Can you be there? She'd
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. We actually ended up keeping her
Yeah.
in the scene. She's there. It's so funny. No one has asked why this woman is there in that moment. Like, yeah, no one.
No, because it's very clear.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really feel the power of everything. That 7-minute oneer, I was watching the whole film, very, very moved. That particular moment just, like, absolutely takes your breath away. It's really something else. I want to bring back talking a little bit about Paul here. So you guys prepared with dancing professionally for the first time. I'm sure there were a lot of conversations in pre-production, but what is something that the two of you discovered on set when you were actually working as scene partners together that all the prep in the world never would have helped you achieve?
I think Paul and I are very similar in that we are perfectionists. Like we like kind of pushing ourselves. And so it was from the moment that we started dancing together, it just felt like, oh, okay, you got me, I got you. We're going to do these crazy lifts. We're going to do them. And I trust you to like not kill me. And it was like, okay, we did it once. And, you know, Holly, who was Ben's assistant that was like rehearsing with us all the time while he was doing director stuff, she would be like, okay, you're good. And we'd both be like, no, we're going again. We didn't nail it. We're doing it again. And we would just go and go and go. And it was a beautiful thing to feel that support. I cannot, like, I tell him all the time, and I told him all the time, and I will tell him again when I see him today, like his support, he was the best teammate. He was the best person to have as a partner. He was the perfect Aidan. It's crazy to think like how we got to him, because like I had been rehearsing with other actors already. You know, like someone else was supposed to play Aidan. We had been dancing together. Then it fell apart. Then finally he comes in and it was just perfect. Like I can't even imagine it being with anyone else. He was like the most supportive, and he would you know, it was my first time away from my family, Christmas and New Year's in Australia, the other end of the world. I was by myself. I was feeling like sad, and I also was feeling the pressure of this movie, and like it's called Carmen, and I'm playing Carmen, and like the character's so famous, and like people have all these expectations. I felt like I had a lot on my back, and both Ben and Paul just kept me sane and kept me like feeling like I could do this, and I could count on them to like remind me that I was doing well. Because sometimes you need someone to tell you like you're doing okay, because you feel like you're doing awful, you know?
Also, you know, it was a lot of trust to trust me, because I think things were a little different. How I'm so used to sort of paying attention to things that happen spontaneously, naturally on set, and take advantage of them. And so it was also a little bit, you know, experimental, to be honest,
Yeah.
which took like a lot of trust. But last thing I want to say, how incredible, of course, the singing, but your dancing is in the film, and how really Melissa was not really like a dancer or taking dance classes, or it's really phenomenal. I genuinely feel, and I love those girls that you're dancing with, in the Dance in the Desert, but you bring like a kind of a response to the moment, and like an attack that is like so incredible that I think is
We did
the
that
greatest thing.
that sequence in the desert, which was a whole thing because it was raining, we couldn't shoot, you know, safety, lightning, whatever. It took us a really long time to actually get to it, and I was so nervous because it was me dancing with 5 or 6 girls from the Sydney dance company, you know, like the official, like the best dancers in Sydney basically, and me, and I have to like be in the middle, and I was so terrified. And I don't know what happened that day, that after one take, Ben comes and he's like, how did you do that? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, how did you dance like that? I was like, I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? And he was like, it was amazing. I was like, oh, thank God. But I don't know, like something just kind of happened.
Whenever the camera rolled, you were there dancing.
Can confirm in the final product. Like my brain can't compute this whole idea that you're not a professional dancer after what I've seen you do. It's breaking my heart. I have to let you go. And I haven't even asked anything about Nicholas Bertel, but you know what I have to do now. I'm using shoes as currency for scoops during TIFF 2022. I'm wearing Scream shoes right now.
You are.
You can't answer anything I'm going to ask, but I'm going to try anyway.
Those are the coolest shoes.
Thank you. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I did this with someone yesterday, and they said that and then give me nothing. So you'll be okay giving me nothing right
Okay,
now.
okay.
Is there anything you can tease about what it means to be chased by Ghostface in a big city instead of Woodsboro or any other kind of suburban town?
It's like 20 times more mortifying. It's awful because you also see how in a city like New York City, everyone is kind of doing their own thing and someone is screaming for help and no one will come to their help. No one will come to help them. You know, like everyone's kind of like, I'm not getting into that. So it's mortifying because you're chased by Ghostface, but you also see like humanity and like how that reacts, you know, in a situation like that. Anyway, I think I've already probably said too much, but
as someone who lived in New York City for a very, very long time, that is one of my biggest fears. And that's what I was hoping you would say.
Yeah.
So I love it. But back to Carmen, huge, huge, huge congratulations. And just because I have to say it again, I know you're friendly with him. Nicholas Patel is hands down one of the best composers working in this industry. And you very much see that coming through in your film. Congratulations to everybody out there. Keep an eye out for Carmen. We'll see you soon with more TIFF 2022 interviews.